good?
Yeah.
Right. Hopefully we can start very soon. Thank you very much indeed for coming to tonight's Finance and General Purposes Committee meeting. First item, apologies for absence. Do we have any?
I haven't got any
No?
apologies.
And looks like everyone's here. Marvellous, thank you very much. Declarations of interest. Does anyone have any declarations of interest they need to make? David?
Grant applications for the Angle Museum Trust, bearing in mind on the council's, one of the council trustees of the Museum Trust. And as my wife is a member of Angle Tennis Club, I'll mention that as well.
Just again on the applications for grants on the volunteer driver volunteer action.
Sorry, I didn't hear that one.
On the volunteer driver volunteer action.
Any others? I live near the tennis club, just in case. If anybody wants at all, go past, always work every day. Thank you very much indeed. If anything comes to your mind during the rest of it, please let us know as normal. 2238, representations from interested parties.
No.
I see no one here either. Consideration of requests from interested parties. We have no one here. So 2240, minutes of the previous meeting. I've got them here. Any questions or queries on anything? I'm happy to propose that we approve and sign the minutes for the 14th of February as an accurate record. John? Can you second it? Thank you very much indeed. Are we going to vote on that? Lovely. Thank you very much indeed. Financial matters to receive the accounts for March 2023. We have the accounts, there's lots of bits of paper. Any thoughts or questions or query? We have Paul with his enormous spreadsheet here. Show us and guide us through anything if anyone has anything.
Which you see every month anyway.
Just in case.
We have verification officers who check it all.
Wow.
To which you're in residence.
Yeah, no, we haven't actually done much yet, but that's the next one, but yeah.
Obviously, I don't know what the word is. We're not year end, are we? But at the moment, we haven't spent all our money, so
That's effectively year end, give or take, for related investments.
which is
I mean,
possible.
what I normally ask at this point is anything you want to make us aware of that you think we should flag up.
There was one question which was about the school rental.
Yeah, but there's obviously it's the end of the financial year, and there's a couple of outstanding debts which there's three on the list. The 1160, which is Lydia Jones. I don't know what that is, but there are three others. The £840 we are going to receive.
My understanding is yes, just
Before
NNC,
you- yeah.
NNC.
Yeah, soon. £25 is owed by a company that I think has now gone into receivership, and the last conversation I had with them was we weren't going to get it. So obviously as the finance committee, it's the decision as to whether we credit that off for this year. Now the other one is the 2,500 Roundel School, which I think, from what I gather of conversations, needs to be credited out.
I think so.
Mm.
We discussed it with St. Estates from the last board.
Yeah.
And we discussed it in the same.
That's fine, yeah.
The general view was that the system doesn't cost us that anymore, and we can't prove, they can't prove, no one's got the paperwork in one shape or form. Should declare interest. I work for a school, which I've declared on many previous occasions. And while we can talk about arrangements moving forward, this doesn't.
It's just it needs to be, because it just looks odd.
Yeah, and keep going.
So I might have missed something here, but why, how's it arisen in the first place?
We, at some point in the past, when the CCTV was installed in the early 2000s, I think.
When it costs a lot of
and it
money.
cost a lot of money. There
a
was
year.
an agreement made by the school to pay some of the costs.
Right, okay.
But no one has any paperwork or what the costs were.
Let's go back to that. Yeah,
We have, but it might take a hell of a lot of funding.
But if I remember rightly, we said that it wasn't actually costing us this much money. So
No.
we were trying to give her a cost that wasn't actually existing.
Correct. The maintenance cost is about £400.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's unreasonable to be asking for that money anyway. So,
The disposal costs were about 18,000.
Yeah.
Originally.
Mm.
That the school, I think, wouldn't be upset about paying something, but then there's the UPGDR issue that didn't exist at the time, of who can look at stuff. And I spoke to the data officer down there a while ago, and she's asked for legal advice from some data protection person, but there's a strong chance that if we're recording it, they wouldn't be able to look at it anyhow.
Yeah.
And we can't look at it, only the police can look at it, really, apart from my data officer here.
so we want
So
to
the
make,
world's changed.
so we want to make sure that's written off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the only other big number on there is 840 for North Northants, is that?
And that we should be getting that any day.
We should be getting that,
Yeah.
so we'd expect to get.
It's for hire of rooms and they pay at the end.
They do eventually.
Yeah, then.
Okay.
John?
We're saying this 2.5 has been occurring since the beginning of this financial year, so it's not
I believe so. Was it the beginning of this financial year or?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, we did have a similar situation last year, but then they did pay it. But I think that was a bit of confusion on their part, because I don't think they were expecting to pay it, but it got paid.
So writing this off, we're not going to raise it against part of next year's.
Yeah, but I think it just seems, well, unfair to ask them for that amount of money. Yeah.
They probably argue they don't want to pay because it's not a cost we pay.
Can I just ask, when we fixed our budget, did we factor in £2,500 for the next year? I don't know or not. Because I've got a feeling we probably would have done on the basis that it's been going that way for
What, as an income?
years. So it may well be shown as part of
I
our
think we left it off because we knew it was a problem, but I could be wrong.
I honestly can't remember what you
That's
asked.
a good question. Let me get to all Paul's folders now as well.
I'll find it and tell you. But not yet.
Whilst you're looking for it, and it does seem to make sense, doesn't it, to write it off for this year anyway. We enter into discussions with them going forward about ways that we can
Do we need to formally
support
support
us.
both?
So that
Yeah, if you
may
just-
be
yeah.
the point, I said we won't raise it next year, it's going to be, we won't raise it next year unless we've already got agreement to pay. Because otherwise it could be better this next year, which is not.
I don't think we have an agreement. So do we need to formally?
Yeah, if you do a vote on that, then it's just
Do we
logged.
need to wait until we find this answer out or?
No, it's a separate question. It's
Yeah.
writing it off for this year is a separate question. Down, we budgeted to get it next year.
So is it prudent that I don't propose it?
Probably.
Yeah, probably somebody else.
I'll propose that we write off the £2,500.
And is anyone second it? Thank you very much, John. So let's vote on that. Lovely,
Thank you.
thank you very much indeed. Anything else from any of the various budget sheets?
I suppose if we actually needed to record a vote, that other one where you said that personal money's gone into administration or something. We just
Yeah.
probably propose that we write that one up as well.
Yeah, if that's okay.
Yep. I'm
Is that
happy.
under the same, do you want to do it under the same voting? Or
Perhaps we should do it separately.
Keep it
do
separate.
you want to do it
In which case I'll
separately?
propose that as well.
That's the £25 one.
Yeah.
I'll happily second that.
Mhm.
£25 will be a bad debt, the 2,500 will be a credit. So,
Yeah.
So all happy if we all vote on that? Yeah. Thank you very much. Everything else is pretty good. Rental income looks okay on markets and rooms, etc. Marvellous. We don't need to vote on it, we're just receiving it.
Mhm.
Thank you very much indeed. 224102 to consider a grant application from Amble Museum Trust. This is for Running costs for the museum of £2,000. Any thoughts, questions, queries upon?
By way of information, really. Councillors may recall that the Museum Trust came to the council and said, essentially, will you waive the rent? We had a discussion and decided we wouldn't waive the rent, but we might invite them instead to make a grant application. And I know it's just not interesting itself around, but this application is the result of that. And I think the figure that they're actually looking for is slightly over the rent, but it's just a general contribution toward running costs. I think in practical terms, apart from arguably subsidising the rent in the first place, given the area occupied by the museum, we've often been asked to make a grant towards their yearly exhibitions, but they're usually a grant of a few £100. Whether there will be any application for help with that, I don't know, but the new exhibition is now up and running. So I suspect that it will just be this application this year.
Fair enough. Any thoughts or questions?
Other than they had a small negligible, so it's not cheap, but they paid an extraordinary expensive £1,200. So if that's not going to be achieved, that gives them a little bit more comfort. So I'm supportive of the grants, and I think to your point, Councillor Chappell, it gives them a way as well. I think it's a good thing for the town.
Jerry?
I think my only observation is that, we've had this debate in the past that the museum will not continue without the continued funding and support of the council, which is fine, as long as we recognise that and we have to continue to fund it, because we're not charging commercial rent, and now we're paying them non-commercial rent. So it's absolutely fine if that's what we want to do with our preset funds, but we should recognise that this is an ongoing situation. And I'm fine to support this year, but I think we do need to bear that in mind going forward.
I agree. The only question I was going to raise is, and I don't know how this meets anyone's views, but it talks about general expenses, rent, insurance, BT subscriptions, etc. And I remember I've looked in the grants policy. We say we're intended to provide support for local groups rather than provide sufficient funding to sustain the financial viability. I don't know where the line is drawn on that. And that's, exactly, that's our grants policy, point 3. So whether we say maybe okay for this year, but have a conversation going forward, I don't know what our thoughts are.
I think they have made a point about the tenancy and having a long-term lease, which would help enable them to get grant funding. But I think we do need to be, asking those questions. Is that happening now? Is there going to be grant funding coming in the future? Because, again, we might make a perfectly valid decision to say we continue to support the museum, and that's the right thing to do. But, we need to do it with our eyes open.
Absolutely.
Just by way of information on that, in principle, this council agreed to offer them a new lease. It stalled because the Museum Trust was converting itself into a charitable incorporated organisation. It is 99% practically the way there. We have to have a meeting next Monday night to formally propose something that has to go back to the charity commissioners, but that's practically done, which means that we can then start to progress the lease. I think probably the other thing I would say on behalf of the museum is that I know one of the debates that they've had up to them internally is that many museums of that kind of size are in effect wholly operated by the council, as opposed to the setup we have here, where we've got council input, but external input as well. And it may well be that once the new body is up and running, there should be a bit of a discussion between us and them. For those of us who wear two hats, that gets slightly complicated, but going forward, we probably do need to look at some of these arrangements.
Yeah, I think that's right. And on the same point, I know I've tried to engage as a teacher in the area for the last 2 or 3 years and haven't got very far with it. And that's feels problematic that we're supporting this venture and not actively encouraging school pupils from the area to come in. That might be something that we need to push.
I'm surprised to hear that.
So was I.
Because it's not the impression I was getting listening to them. So whether there's a communication issue here, that I'm sorting.
I think it might depend on what a school visit is, but yeah, it seems to be something that maybe we should address this year. Just on that basis, Paul, we're now in a new financial year, aren't we? I know that sounds pretty obvious, yeah. So we've got a clean slate of how much to grant this year.
Spend.
20,000, is that right? Yep.
Mhm.
So this is 2,000, 10% of our grant budget for the year, in effect.
Does that include the Coronation Grant Fund?
Effectively, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Do we have any underspend from last year's grant? I remember we talked about
It's marginal, very marginal.
So the request is for £2,000 for running costs, etc. We talked about where the museum might sit. Are we okay to go with £2,000 given the amount of uncertainty over the lease that's hopefully becoming clear now? But do you want to put any conditions on it or not? Or
Content to move,
then to move?
on the basis that we do have a discussion with them, but once they've changed their status.
I'll happily convey that back then.
2016.
Did you say it's 10%? It's quite a significant chunk of this year.
Yeah, unless I've misread
We
it.
have 2006 left from the previous one, where there was an underspend of 2006 and 3.
So we've got 2006 effectively.
Potentially carry that forward,
Yeah.
agree to carry that forward.
That's the date of their application. Can you put this as last year's application, or does it go into this year's spending because we now have a new financial year?
It
It's
was
goes
officially
into this
officially
year.
signed on the 14th of February 2023.
So is this really last year's application?
As far as I'm concerned, it's this year's because we deal with our bank finished on the 31st of March. So it goes through now, we'll go through 23, 24.
Presumably what we can be doing is spending last year's underspend. So we're only breaking into this year's money.
That
Again, it
seems-
sounds a little bit circular.
But this is what it's saying, that we've got 22 potentially for that.
So we've got,
That's a chunk.
that would make it less than 10%. So we've got 20,000 from this year and 2,600 from last year.
If you want to spend it on a way, yes.
And this is a grant request for 2,000. And we have other grants this evening for 500, 900, and 2,500.
Another 2,000 as it happened.
Whilst on the subject of 2,000, the 2,500 is included as an income for next year, or for this year, sorry, from school.
So we need
Two
to,
and a half we won't get.
we need to draw that stick. Okay, so Rupert's happy to move that we go with 2,000. Is anyone willing to second that?
If nobody else would, but I'd rather it wasn't.
So we all okay to vote on that then? So 2,000 for this year effectively is quite a lot extra money from last year. I'm happy to go with that. Thank you very much indeed. But David, you can pass on those reservations and concerns.
I will.
Share.
Yes.
That would be great, thank you. 224103 to consider the coronation grant application for volunteer action. This is a tea party in the hub. It's a request for £500. It seems an ideal use of our grants, our facilities, our link with volunteer action.
600.
Probably I got it wrong.
Cost projects are They passed the final.
Written and figured in.
So any questions or queries? It seems an ideal idea. John?
I love the idea, very much in favour of it, but we haven't approached anybody else for funding. Is that what we have? We're acting their government ground far outside.
Last time they asked for a grant from us was 2013.
I
So
think
does that mean that we've got,
Sorry?
does that mean we've got for other organisations in the meantime, or is
So no,
This is one off, and our grants don't.
I think they
have to be
do,
the same.
they do get grants from a lot of other places. I know that they're always applying for various different grants to help.
I mean, this is very much a one-off targeted around the coronation, which is exactly why we set up that fund in the first place. So it's
Specific,
well way of using it.
specific grant.
Absolutely, it's a perfect grant for a tea party on the coronation weekend in our facility. Actually, yes. So I'm happy to propose that we approve a £500 grant for volunteer action. David got there first, David seconded it, so we all get a vote on that. Lovely, thank you very much indeed. 224104, coronation grant application from the Annual Tennis Club. This again is for an event on the day of the weekend of the coronation, I think, and also to purchase a clock to tell the time, I suppose. For legal reason. I think it's £500 for the event and £400 for the clock. Very nice. I drove past Coronation Close just the other day in Benfield. I thought it's nice to have a thing that's named after an event, I suppose. So, any thoughts or queries on the coronation clock and the coronation event down at the tennis club? David?
If we were to grant funding the money as ours, we might want to say, rather like the Heritage Lottery says, put a little thing up to say that this has been achieved with Heritage Lottery money. Could they perhaps put up something that says this has been done through the Town Council Coronation Grant Fund or something like that? A nice gesture from them to us.
Absolutely. I think, were we going to design a little plaque? Was that discussed at, maybe it was in the States meeting?
Yeah, I think it, well, I don't even think it, I think it has been
Might be an
talked
idea.
about, but yeah, I don't think it got any onto an agenda. I don't think it did.
But it's something like that we do. We do now ask that all our
For photographs, yeah.
photographs. So yeah, are we able to make that a condition of the grant? Coronation clock has a town council.
So my condition is to request.
Excellent. So are we happy to support both the event and the clock?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm happy to propose that we go ahead with the grant of £900 as requested. Is anyone willing to second it? We've got that just ahead of John. Are we all going to vote on that? Thank you very much indeed. And 224105, grant application from the Fringe Festival. This is just a sort of standard grant, as it were, looking to advertise and support the 2023 festival. Fringe rather than festival, because the festival's different this year, of course. So, given the festival will be different this year anyhow, it seems like an ideal use of that week in July, I think it is. Any thoughts?
So why would it be different?
Because Creative Vandal, I don't think everybody on the festival
Oh.
quite the same way.
Well, Credit Island's doing something, but it's,
Yeah.
it's a lower
Yeah.
key, so they're doing Credit Island, so again, declaration of interest, I'm a trustee for Creative Vandal. But Credit Island's doing the part of the Wharf, is doing the Organ Festival, so the Summer School Organ Festival is happening, so the organ concerts in the churches and chapels around town. They're doing open gardens and there may be more events as well. So there is stuff going on, but it's due to financial constraints, it's scaled back from what it has been in previous years.
the last grant they received was a grant in 2015.
The Fringe.
Yeah.
So this is £500 to print and send around.
Well, seems to me that the Fringe is one of those events that may go under what it is. And again, it's really back in the raison d'etre of how you grants budget in the first place. And I think we probably will get good publicity out of it again if we make a request that perhaps they acknowledge in their literature that they're going to produce. Thanks to OTC. But I think this is very worthwhile. In fact, not only that, but it brings people into the town from outside of the town spending money here, so it's kind of win-win.
And of course, most of the events free out there, so it's good for residents. And
One of the things that Craig Van was doing with the other arts organisations around town is trying to get together and be much more coordinated in terms of what we're doing. So hopefully, I don't know this, but I mean, potentially, whatever is produced will be promoting not just the Fringe, but all the other things that are happening in the town. So that's certainly the plan that we're trying to do, because rather than us all coming in and asking the council for £500 for the speaker costs, we're going to try and produce a brochure that promotes everything that's going on. That's a bit more cool. I don't know, again, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but I think that's the plan, is that we're trying to coordinate it a bit more across the various arts groups around the town.
I think there's some link to the Love Animal website.
Yeah, and leave that as well.
So again, I'm more than happy to propose that we sort this out. David has seconded it, we'll all get a vote on that. Lovely, thank you very much indeed. 2242, any other business for report only? Jerry, have you anything from you?
Nothing from me.
John?
Nothing from me.
Rupert?
None.
David?
Well, just on the subject of acknowledgements, the Elm Call Society had their concert last month. It was extremely well attended in the church and on the programme, so it was a very nice acknowledgement for the support that they get from local town councils, and that's just the sort of thing you can get for.
Yeah, and I've received some photographs from them as well, showing
Oh,
the
good.
event and thanking us again for the grant.
Excellent, so we'll smear them all.
Yeah.
Councillor Chappers just prompted me then, because as well, Craig Van is also running out stocks courses for young people on this Easter, which is finishing with a concert in the school chapel, I believe, 2 p.m. on Saturday. Very informal. If you want to pop in and watch young organists
I'm sitting in the car at the street of D&E, but I'd love to organise. Thank you very much. So yeah, good news all around, and that's exactly the sort of cross-fertilisation we should be encouraging. David?
Yeah, just one question. With the coronation funds, how many requests have we done so far?
I think, and I know this because I was putting the photos on slide only the other day.
Had some last month as well, didn't we? Look at the minutes of last
We've
month.
got 7.
Okay. And what's the budget we set?
10,000.
10,000.
across
And
the
of that
2 years.
10,000, how much do we
Yeah, that was effectively split over the 2 years, so I think we've spent 1,900, no, less than that tonight, because only 2 of them were coronation grants, weren't they?
I think there's 5, I think. The yarn bombing, the ones up on the screen.
Right.
And then the ones today.
Yeah, which is 9 and 5. So I think it's about 1,400 on top of that.
But what it also did was generate grant applications from other organisations that hadn't applied for a while. We had one from the cricket club, but although they thought they were applying for a coronation grant, it actually wasn't. It was a general grant. And I've also had one from the allotment society, which will go on our next finance meeting. So advertising it out there has obviously made a lot of organisations aware that we have got grants.
And that was part of the idea of last year's budget, to increase the grant funding in a way it's sort of been a 12, 18-month process.
So we have £10,000 to spend over 2 years.
We put in a normal number.
Because if I look at the minutes for last month, the Fletton Field grant was 1760 from the Coronation Fund, 250 from the grant was 2010, I think. £1,000 for the squash club, 3,000. £2,000 from football clubs, 5,000. And we spent some time as well.
14.
14, so we spent 6,500 about 10.
So the coronation is coming up very rapidly, so.
The reason I kind of asked is because as it states, we've not, unlike the Jubilee last year, we've not got an event, have we?
No.
So, yeah, I was kind of hoping in a way that people will have taken it upon themselves, and it seems that they have got it, so that's good.
That's not, effectively the football club are doing something on the weekend, aren't
Yeah.
they? Tennis club, volunteer action. So lots of different groups are doing things around the weekend, which is good.
Okay.
But we'd have to hire a television. Brilliant. Okay, nothing to report from me. Anything, Emma, Paul, anything from you?
No.
Fantastic. So meeting room.
Okay.
You do.
So we're fast as well.